Yeah.
I'll make a deal. If you can make me look skinny, I'll waive my royalties.
Good.
Is that good?
Yeah, clamp's pretty sweet, huh?
Yeah.
Riding solo again. Benny was gone for a little over a week. His wife got better and he felt fine. Came to work for one day yesterday and then texted me this morning that he was spending quite a bit of time in the bathroom, if you know what I mean. So he's out. He might actually be out for the rest of the week because I'm not trying to get it. We'll have to just see how he feels. But I am headed to the job all alone again. And today I'm going to start setting some steps and laying the paver landings in between the steps. We'll see what I can get done on my own today. Tell you what though, it's a beautiful day. Alright, so we got our pavers, we got our wall block, and our wall block cap. Benny, you better actually be sick, bud. This is a very universal clamp. You can see it's very big. We've used this on jobs with bigger steps. So this is a project from early 2022, which I actually bought this clamp for. And we're installing concrete steps that are poured to look like natural stone. This was a cool project. If you haven't seen the videos to this project, I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to go check that out. But this is why I bought that clamp. But they'll still work. It'll still work for those ones over there. They do make a clamp that's about half the size of this, really, so it's not such a big thing to lug around. But this was $1,200, and that other one I think is like $900. So I bought the one that's for bigger ones because that's what we needed, but can also do smaller ones. That way I didn't have to buy both. I can just buy that one for now, and then at some point I'll probably invest into the smaller one if I start doing more small step projects. Here it is, Henderson. This is our wall block cap. It's a charcoal color. There's no tag on it because it's split apart from the actual pallet, but it's made by Teco Block. And this is the wall block. Teco Block Sema is what it's called. Split face is the style. The color tone is Champlain gray. And on one pallet you get 40 blocks, and it weighs about 2,400 pounds. This is the split face right here. That's the style. So a split faced wall block or wall cap just means that it was hydraulically split in the manufacturer. These caps, for example, are mended together, and when they split them, it gives you that rough textured split faced look. So these pallets are light enough to just pull off with the machine as they are, the border pavers and the wall block cap, but the other two pallets I'm going to have to split down before I pull them off. Alright, so those pallets had 4 tier of block on them, which is pretty much the max of that machine. You probably do 4.5 tiers. A full pallet is, I believe, 10. Some differ. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pallet of pavers here, made by Granite, green Katahdin stone, and the color is meadow. This pallet has 124 square feet, and it weighs 3,460 pounds. So if you remember with the wall block pallet, that's about 2,400 pounds. So if we round up a little, that's 3,500, and the wall block is 2,500. That gives us 6,000. And then we had another 8 tier of pavers slash wall block cap. So we can probably estimate that at about another 3,000 pounds, which puts us at about 9,000 pounds. My trailer is a 14,000 pound GVWR, and it weighs by itself about 4,500 pounds. So the max you can put in this trailer for weight and still be under your GVWR would be 9,500 pounds. So I'm just about a quarter of a ton lighter than my maximum capacity in this trailer. So that's a little bit of a math that you got to consider when you start hauling heavy materials around, or even equipment. It's a big deal if you ever get pulled over and you're overweight on something like this. Most of the time, DOT officers aren't going to play around with you. You're gonna get a hefty ticket. All right, we got it broken down to 3.5 on both pallets. I should be able to squeak them both out of here, no problem. Alright, we got the materials here. We got our steps, we got our outer border, we got our inner border, pavers, wall block, wall cap. It's about 12 o'clock right now. I got everything set up, got all my string lines set up, my grades, my heights. We're going to be putting a paver landing, small landing, about 3 feet. Stack 2 of those steps on each other. Small landing, stack 2 of those steps on each other. And that's going to bring us to a big landing up on the top there. And we're going to mirror image that exact staircase over on the right side. So you can see I got a few strings set up. This string right here is my square line off the house, and what this line represents is the outside of the walkway up there and the inside of this walkway. So we're going to be able to lay the sides of our steps along the string line, and it's going to be 4 feet over to the left. And once we get up to the top, we're going to curve that landing into those steps, and then the walkway will be, the left side of the walkway will be on that string. So we'll just kind of curve and fade into itself. So I took the measurement off of this foundation to this stake, which is 13.5 feet. You'll have to just trust me on the measurement. That's 13.5. And then the problem that you run into in a situation like this is that your foundation doesn't go all the way to your bottom landing where you're going to be starting the build. So you have to go to the furthest point that the foundation is, measure from there, and pretty much put in a guideline stake. The stake is set at 13.5, and this string is right on the edge of it. Now what that guideline stake did for me is when I come down here and I pull the string tight off of the original stake, I line that string up to where it's just resting against the guideline stake that's measured off the foundation, which allows me to put this stake in. We knew that this line right here is square from this point to the furthest point. When I say we, I mean me. I miss you, Benny. It's not easy setting this stuff up by yourself. Having another hand, or well, obviously another couple hands, is very helpful. Doing it by yourself just takes a while. This string line over here is representing a few things. It's the edge of our walkway and the edge of our steps, going into the side of the house, and it's also our elevation. That's going to be the top of the paver height, finish height. We got our string level. So that is the far side of the pavers and the top of the pavers, all the way. And it's also representing our square line, which sometimes you just got to get creative, but I got a few pavers stacked on each other to hold the square, and then another paver to hold the square steady so that I can adjust it. But we line the long side of the square up with the long side squared off string, and then we line up that string with our small side of the square. So we're squared off with our landing here, and we're squared off with our walkway up on top, and it's all square with the house. So we have our guidelines, but I also have my height now. Like I said, that's my final height that I'm trying to meet, because I'm going to have to start doing measurements and figuring stuff out, because I've got 4 steps and 2 landings, and that all needs to mesh in perfectly with the top of this height with that string right there. And you're just going to be seeing me as I go, taking measurements, double checking everything's on that square line, and checking elevations. But right now all I have to do, we're not even going to be saw cutting this driveway because they're going to be replacing the driveway. So we're going to be starting our new paver walkway just a tad behind this existing driveway. So I got a backfill to height with a 3/4 inch stone, which if you want to know more about that backfilling technique, check out the video before of how we backfill situations like this and for paver walkways. And that's the best kind of material to lay steps on, open grade base. And I have a lot of videos to explain why, so check them out. I don't know if any of you Americans have ever seen a tool like this. This is a Brazilian hoe. It's a funny joke that I always say, because it's a different country and it's still just a hoe. So American hoe, Brazilian hoe. But I think they call it enxada in Brazilian or Portuguese. I think it's called enxada. But it's got a wild angle on it. The thing I believe is like 9 inches or so long. Oh, it's 11.5 inches long. The thing's a monster. But it's made out of a certain type of wood from Brazil that is just way stronger than anything we got here. I've had this thing for years now, and the more you leave it outside, it seems like the stronger it gets as it seasons. Alright, let's do a little elevation check. This is just your very basic laser level. It shoots straight out, goes up and down. I think flooring guys would probably get a little more use out of it than I do, but it gives you a straight laser, and you can check out your elevations pretty easy. Now you can see the light's flashing. If the light's flashing, that means it's not level enough for you to check. So that side needs to come up a little bit. Probably do that by... There we go. Alright, so if the light's not flashing, you're good to go. There's like a little thing that turns inside of that. I forget what you call that or whatever, but it doesn't have to be perfectly level. It sits, and then there's something that self-levels in the center. And as long as it's solid light, you know you're all set. What you gotta find is this string right here, like I told you, is our grade, the top of grade height. So we gotta find out on that string to where the laser comes out what the height is. And that is reading 5 1/8. So we have to minus 5 1/8 from our measurement to get our correct measurement. We got 36 1/4. So we got to minus 5 1/8 instantly. So that brings us down to 31 1/8. Okay, so I know the steps can get a little confusing. I want to take a second and break this down. What we're trying to find right now is the top of our base stone so that we can lay our screed rails and screed our chip stones so we can lay pavers. So to find the top height of our base stone, we got to go from this laser, which is at 36.25 inches right now from the top of the base stone to where the laser's hitting. We have to minus out the 5 1/8 of an inch difference between the laser and the top of the height of our grade, which is what that string represented that I showed you up on the top landing. That brings us down to 31 1/8 of an inch. So now what else we have to minus out is our 1 inch of bedding stone and our 2 3/8 of an inch paver height, which is a total of 3 3/8 of an inch. That's going to bring us down to 27 3/4 of an inch is where our actual measurement is right now to the top of the base stone. So we have to factor in 4 steps at 6 inches each, bringing us to 24 inches. So as it sits, we are 3 3/4 of an inch too low right now with our base stone. But something you can't forget when you're building landings and steps like this is the slope. These steps and the landings will be sloped towards the driveway, and we're about 9 to 10 feet from the first landing to the top step that's going to meet with our top landing. So seeing as we're 3 3/4 of an inch too low, I'm going to make the math easy, and I'm going to be shooting for a 1 3/4 of an inch slope from the bottom landing to the top step that meets the top landing. And that's going to make me have to put 2 more inches of base stone to get me to the correct height where I can start screeding and laying for pavers. Whew. So I know that's a lot of information to take in, guys. I mean, this kind of work, the reason why not many people do it and it's specialized is because it's very technical. It's not like a landscaping project or something like that that you can just dive into head first. You really need to lay the project out, think about it, and measure. You have to double check everything, and you have to have the idea in your mind, so it's like, I know I get comments about how I lay stuff like this out and people want to learn about that, but I know a lot of the videos, when I start getting into that, they could come across as confusing or boring. There's a lot of technical stuff that goes into projects like this. So I hope the way that I'm explaining it is helping you guys out somewhat. I hope it's understandable. I know for a lot of people it's just going to sound like I'm, talking Chinese. But I guess, I don't know, maybe let me know in the comments below what you think of my explanation. But like I said, this kind of work is just very tedious, and it's a lot of mental work. I mean, the physical labor gets involved for sure, but you can't even start doing the physical labor until you've figured out all the mental labor that goes into a project like this. And what's even going to get harder is the fact that this landing that I'm screeding out and laying right now, I got 2 steps that are going behind that, then I got another landing and 2 steps. But I have to actually mirror image this entire staircase here on the right side and have it meet the grade on the top. So that string line you see to the left, top left of the screen, that's going and connecting to the porch, that's a very important string line to set up. And as you've seen at the beginning when I had it set up, that's sloped towards this landing. And we're also sloping towards the driveway. So there's a lot of different slopes to account for, and each one of those slopes is going to give you a different measurement depending on the length of the landing and the length of the spot that you're actually setting up. So there's really only so much explanation I can give you. I mean, I can explain it and it, will be okay for this job, but your project that you're doing or so on and so forth, it may not even matter. You have to really pay attention to the project you're doing and go over it plenty of times in your mind. You have to do these kind of jobs in your mind before you even get there. I mean, when I go and estimate for projects like this and send out the estimate, not only am I thinking when I put the bid together and then send it out, but I'm thinking about it here and there when I'm freaking laying in bed. You know, you got to build these projects in your mind before the day you even get to the project. And something that I've found in this industry, because I've worked for a lot of companies, you need that time before you even get to the job to prepare yourself, prepare your mind for the project you're doing. That was one thing I always couldn't stand about working for other companies, is that, you know, the managers and the bosses, they never let you know anything about the project. They gave you the paperwork in the morning, told you to meet them on the job. They did a walk around with you on the job for 20 minutes if you were lucky, and then they expected you to be able to just dive into the project and get things going and moving super quick. And that just doesn't work in this industry. You know, these guys that sold the job or whatever may have had enough time to think about it and plan the job and figure it out, but they never told their foreman who's going to do the job about it. Never talked to him once. And then the day comes where you want to start the project, you're wondering why the foreman's sitting there, you know, screwing around trying to figure out the job. And then there's not much production on the first day. It's because they knew nothing about it, and now they pretty much have to digest the entire project all at once and put it together in their mind before they even start digging. And, you know, for me, that was a big thing when I started my own company, was I wanted to X that middleman out. That's all I ever looked at it was just a middleman, having your manager, your boss do stuff like that, because they just dump you off on a job and you're there to have to put out all the fires, build it, take care of all the issues, and they're off somewhere else selling another job that they're not going to tell you about. So pretty wild. Not sure I agree with the way that a lot of these guys run their construction companies, but it is what it is. It's not an easy industry, I understand that. But if you're like a manager or business owner watching this, that's something you really need to understand, is you need to have more information for your foremen and for your guys before they go into a project, not the day of a project. That's poor planning on your side, and you need to own that. But anyway, there's that rant. We got this first landing installed, as you've seen. Nothing really much to talk about that. You've seen plenty of the paver installs I've done. That's all it was. And now I'm here preparing the area behind it for our first granite riser. You saw me put geogrid in and compact a layer. Now I'm putting another layer of this 3/4 in, getting it to the proper slope and height that I want it, and I'm going to tamp it. Now I'm leaving it about 1/4 of an inch lower than the top of our pavers so that we can get as much of a full step as possible. Okay, I'm setting this clamp up to lift and set these risers. If you want some more information about this clamp, check out the description below. I'll put the model number and the name of it and all that stuff in there. But you're actually going to see the homeowner is going to come out here and help me lay these steps. He knew that Benny wasn't here. He's actually a viewer of the channel, and it was excellent having him help me putting these steps on. It would have been a little tough for setting these things by myself, even with the clamp. So I was really grateful for him to be there to help me out. So whenever you pick up a heavy step like this with a clamp, you want to give it some nice wiggle tests, move it around, make sure it's got a good bite on it. About those steps about 1 inch wider than the walkway, so a 1/2 inch on each side. Pretty much right on it. Good.
Is that good?
Yeah, clamp's pretty sweet, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Not bad.
It costs a lot of money, but
Yeah, 1,200 bucks. That's crazy, huh?
yeah, save your back though.
Yeah, for sure. They make one that's a little bit smaller for like steps like this.
Yeah.
That one's like 900. I was like, buy the $1,200 one that can do the big ones and the small ones.
Yeah,
you know?
you're better off. You're better off. Is that good? You like the spacing?
Yeah,
Is that good?
if anything, we
Side by
can
side?
kind of shift it by hand now.
Okay, all right.
But at least it's placed down pretty good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey, you kidding me?
I brought that 2x4 because I thought I was going to be alone.
Yeah.
I was going to hold it while I was driving
Oh,
and try to get it.
try it. Yeah.
But that was definitely a lot better than probably what I would have done with that.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
Hey, Marky, you're going to be famous on YouTube.
That's right. Yeah, I get my royalties.
You are-
Right?
Yep, yep.
I make a deal. If you can make me look skinny, I'll waive my royalties.
I did you one better, Mark. I made you look jacked. I don't owe you royalties now.
You're like, who's that old guy working with Kyle? Oh,
What do you think?
yeah, nice. Nice.
A little shifting around, make sure it's nice and squared off, but
Oh, and I like the...
It's pretty close, but it's
a little
that way,
to, a
just
little
a
to the
little bit.
right, yeah.
yeah.
Just go that way a little bit. And it needs to go forward a little bit. That looks good. So does that. Wow, that looks really good. And the back's a touch high. Perfect. And that's good. It's a touch past an eighth, but it's definitely not a full quarter, so that's good slope forward. I over excavated so that we can kind of grade properly into our final result. So I'm going to take some of this stone here, toss it up behind so that I will be able to lay this fabric over after, and then backfill with dirt. Alright, now we can do a little backfilling. looks quite good, everybody. It's going to overlap at an inch, so the front's going to be an inch on the first one.
It's a little crooked, but
Okay.
it should look back at that.
All set, thank you. It's about an inch. A little bit off. A little bit off. And for roughly 12 and 12, that is 12 and a 16th. It's 12 and a 16th. I like it. Let's go this way a little though. Spray. It's level side to side and a little high in the back. A little bit less than a quarter now. We got it. We got it. 2 steps set. We're on to the next landing. Good morning. Day 2. Okay guys, that's going to wrap up this portion of the project. I know there's a lot of technical stuff in this, a little bit of a longer video than usual, but I'm going to wrap this up right here. The next video is going to show you us finishing up these landings on both sides, and then we're going to start building the top landing where both of them meet into. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if everything I was teaching is understandable or if you got feedback of any kind. But thanks for watching, and as always guys, God bless. Peace.